Just watching Dodgers and Cubs today. Maybe MLB now.
Good evening, please rise. Mr. Credo. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Supervisor Quigley,
Here.
Councilman Van Cleek is excused. Councilman Secreto. Councilwoman Hayner.
Here.
Councilwoman DeGroot is excused.
Thank you very much and welcome to the Town of Ulster Town Board meeting for Thursday, February 20th, 2025. Our safety announcements, I will point out our emergency exits in the rear of the building. Should there be a need to evacuate, please do so in an orderly manner, following the signs to the parking lot or the field in front of the town hall. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
None.
We have none. Ladies and gentlemen, are there any public comments on the agenda that has been published for tonight? We will have an open comment period at the conclusion of our scheduled agenda. Thank you very much. Members of the town board, in our package tonight are the minutes of the meeting presented to us by our town clerk, Suzanne Reeve, for the organizational meeting held January 2nd, 2025, and the Town of Ulster Town Board meeting for January 16th, 2025. May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Communications, please.
There are no communications this evening.
Thank you very much. I will review the abstract of claims for the month of January. Actually, it's the month of February. For bills paid for the calendar year 2025, in February of 2025, we paid out $4,601,683.90. The majority of these monies are disbursements to the underlying taxing districts that the town tax collector collects his money on behalf. That would include the Special District Library, the Ruby Fire District, the East Kingston Fire Protection District, the Ulster Fire Protection District number 1, the Bloomington Fire District, and the Ulster Fire District number 5.
All right, just a quick correction. It's 93, not 83.
93. Okay, I see that now. And for the 2024 year, the town paid out in February $819,926.16. The majority or the largest portion of those disbursements related to capital projects that will be reimbursed to the town by outside agencies. May I have a motion to accept the financial abstract as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Moving to a department head report. Someone who I believe was sick at a prior meeting when the department heads gave their reports. But you were that night.
Oh, I was that night.
So the floor is all yours, sir.
Thank you. Councilman, Supervisor, I'll start off with a brief overview of stuff that's going on in the town.
It's on.
Central Hudson has completed the PCC, which is the Primary Control Center. Should be operational by this summer. Next is their annex with a proposed start late spring. Dick's Sporting Good is vacating the mall and should be moving into the former Gander Mountain on a slightly smaller scale. Dunkin' Donuts on the south side of town has reopened. Potential renovations to the north side possibly this year. I did express to the owner that if he did do renovations to the north side, we need to address the drive-through. Because we all know the drive-through on the north Dunkin' Donuts creates problems. So I made that abundantly clear. JWK, Jehovah Witness Kingdom Hall is completed. Their project is open, and thus far I have had no complaints about traffic or noise. iPark has completed all remediation on Building 1, waiting for plans or potential move forward for occupancy. They have a lot of work to do. Hannaford was, originally I was going to say Hannaford was coming in for site plan, but it was approved. They're going to do some exterior upgrades, mostly to take out what they had put in for their Hannaford to go. They want to put parking back. They are going to put in some for pregnant women and veterans. We did receive an application for an organic grocery store in the old Goodwill. More to follow on that. Rubco has finished demolition to the interior spaces at the former Quality Inn / Ramada Inn and is now starting on their upfit. If anybody's been by there, you'll notice that they're drilling holes. They have 24 geothermal wells going in. Renewable source of heat. Campers World is proposing to demolish the old Big Scott building and build a new showroom. I should be receiving application for that be the end of this week or beginning of next week. And the last one is what everybody's been talking about. Chick-fil-A has made a formal application to occupy the former Red Lobster site. All information is disseminated to the town engineer for both stormwater and civil. We also send it out to the town engineer for the traffic and any other department. So we'll more wait for information from them and see where they want to go. The few employees I have in my office are healthy. Since I lost one of my clerks to the assessor's office, we are actively looking for a replacement. We are also next on the list to look for another inspector and a fire inspector. And we are in the process of re-entering the last 5 years of electronic documents that we lost. So it was interesting trying to create a department report since everything was on paper. So to that end, in 2024, we issued 615 permits, 50 certificates of occupancy, and 430 certificates of compliance. Any questions about anything going on?
No, nothing from me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tutt. Moving to new business. We have a presentation of the monthly Town Clerk's report for the month of January 2025. Ms. Reevy, is there anything for you to report in this report? Mr. Todd, it was a light month for you. Okay. May I have a motion to accept the Town Clerk's report as presented?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a presentation to the town board and the community of the status of the Highway Capital Reserve Fund. We had available for purchase approximately $1.385 million between 2024 and the budget of 2025, along with the beginning balance that was there when we finished 2023 of $1,125,000. Based upon the equipment purchased in 2024 and the equipment that is currently on order, we are in a deficit position of $91,500 that in order to complete the purchase of the Western Star 10-wheeler, we will be challenged with financing. In addition, in the Highway to Superintendent's 284 agreement, along with the capital program that was provided in the package that's on the town's website, planned purchases of new equipment for 2025 is $633,900. Putting these two numbers together, I believe we may be in a financing position where we will have to float a bond to finish the acquisitions of these pieces of equipment. This is a matter that will be discussed at future town board meetings. Moving to the next item, it's a presentation of the final schedule of the ARPA projects. The town of Ulster, under the ARPA program, received $1.292 million, which was the majority of it was used to finance capital improvements relating to sewer projects, water projects, stormwater design, and design of future water projects. The terms and conditions of the federal program was that the town was required to commit under signed contract 100% of the dollars by the end of December 31st, 2024, which we have done. This report is available in the package for anyone who is interested, and the final report will be filed with the U.S. Treasury Department on April 1st in accordance with the regulations. The next item is the presentation. These three items do not require any attention or any vote tonight. The presentation of the agreement for the expenditures of the highway monies and under Section 284. Mr. Petremol, would you explain this agreement for our assembled body?
Highway superintendent, agreeable to funds and how to spend the money and where it's going. So it's by law, every highway superintendent, town board have to pass a resolution. It could be altered throughout the year. Our case, I have all the roads listed that I'd like to pave. But if funding is higher or funding is less, we can move things around. But yeah, it's a legal agreement that we have to do every year.
So that everyone knows when the highway superintendent says the funding may be higher, majority of the funding for this work comes from New York State under the CHIPS program or the Pave New York program. It is subject to the governor's budget, which will not be passed until the beginning of the fiscal year of April 1st. And in prior years, they have given bonus monies based upon the lobbying efforts of various constituencies in Albany. So we have been the beneficiary of those monies. Approximately how many miles of road will you be planning on paving? No? Okay.
I think last year we paved almost about 10 miles of roadway.
And that was a little bit better than what your average has been in the past? Okay. Now, on the capital equipment, could you give a brief explanation of what you're focusing on for 2025.
Well, I try to list at the end of each annual report, the capital equipment expenditures. And the way things have been going, I'd like to order 2 single axle trucks, one next year and one in 27. We just got 2 new trucks that were on order for just under 3 years to get 2 trucks. So I want to try to break it down so we have something coming for next year and the following year. And the other 2 items are just some small utility trailers that we pull the mowers around with and bobcats and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. We will be taking this up at the next meeting. The next item on our agenda is a motion authorizing the town clerk to sign the 2025 poll agreement. Would you, Ms. Reby, explain to us what this is?
This also is an annual agreement that is sent to us every year in the beginning of the year from Board of Elections, Ulster County Board of Elections, putting us into an agreement with them to allow them to use our senior center as a poll site on primary occasions and at the general election in November.
Thank you. May I have a motion to authorize the town clerk to sign the poll agreement?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Hayner, on the next 2 personnel items.
All right, I have Valerie Craig. She will be returning to work part-time after her retirement and will work 20 hours per week at a rate of $23.11. Her start date on that will be March 10th. I also have William McCabe Jr. is being hired as a full-time mechanic for the Highway Department. He will start in grade 7, step 2 at the rate of $23.50 per hour with full benefits, and his start date is 2/18/2025. It's local 17, and he has health insurance.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept or to authorize the hiring of both employees?
I'll second that.
I will second
Okay.
since you read. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. They are so authorized to be hired. Over the last 40 years, the town of Ulster has provided benefits to town employees utilizing Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. About 20 or 30 years ago, MetLife changed from a mutual insurance company to a stock company. And in doing so, they require certain authorizations to be on record from the owner of the stock, being the town. Tonight's resolution is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute documents related to the MetLife stock agreement. It is a resolution from the town board essentially notifying the Metropolitan Life Insurance custodian that I am authorized by town board vote to execute said documents. May I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
I'll make,
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. As you heard, Mr. Tutt advised us that the Town of Ulster's Planning Board has received an application from Chick-fil-A for the redevelopment of the Red Lobster site on the corner of Ulster Avenue and Myron Lane. Out of Tuesday night's Planning Board meeting, a resolution has been requested by the Planning Board of the Town Board, where we would, as Town Board, initiate the seeker review process and also authorize the referral of the site plan application to the Ulster County Planning Board per General Municipal Law, Section 239. May I ask for a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. In June of 2024, Keith Leibolt, a developer from Gardner, made a presentation to the town board meeting at the regularly scheduled meeting on the third Thursday for the redevelopment of the Gallows Hill Mobile Home Park. The Gallows Hill Mobile Home Park was constructed approximately 40 or 50 years ago and is an aged facility as it relates to the roads, the water system, the sewer system. It is also inhabited by residents of our community who are income challenged. Mr. Leibold presented a plan whereby a charitable organization would assume ownership for the park and under a subsidy agreement with New York State Housing and Community Redevelopment, enter into an improvement program, improving the facilities that reside both within the town of Ulster and the town of Hurley, in exchange for a guarantee that the rents on the lots will remain within the financial grasp of those that live up there at the present time. This is a proposed 40-year program of subsidy, and we will be having another action for a pilot agreement following on behind this over the next couple of months, because that is a part of the program. But right now, the Town of Ulster Planning Board completed the seeker review and makes a recommendation to the town board that we close seeker and that we also refer the site plan to the Ulster County Planning Board. So we are tonight, as the town board, passing a resolution undertaking these actions. May I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to old business. Mr. Van Cleek is not here tonight, but Mr. Van Cleek with Ms. Hayner undertook through their committee a search for a replacement town planner. And I will read the following report from Councilman Van Cleek. Over the past few weeks, I have been in contact with all the recommended candidates given to us by the supervisor for consideration as our town planner. After emails and phone calls with the candidates and references, I am recommending that the board appoint Maximilian Stock with NPV, Nelson Pope and Voorhees, as our planner. Max is a partner in NPV and will bring not only his expertise, but also the resources of the entire firm. NPV received all positive comments from the surrounding communities that are currently or have been served, including Saugerties, Esopus, and Marbletown. Their billing schedule is flexible and they are willing to adapt to our needs as experience shows. A meeting was held on Tuesday morning, February 18th, with Max, myself, Warren Tutt, Jason Kovacs, Rory Lee of the Planning Board, and Mr. Van Cleek. And at that meeting, we asked a series of questions which only increased our confidence in NPV in serving the town for both being the town planner on the projects that we routinely review, as well as being the right firm to coordinate a review of our comprehensive plan. So with that being said, there is a complete information package on NPV on our website, if anyone is interested, along with a profile of the communities that they serve and the engagements that they have been involved in. I now am pleased to present to the town board a resolution authorizing the hiring of the firm Nelson Pope and Voorhees, represented by Max Stock. And I ask for a motion to accept this resolution as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there any discussion amongst the town board members? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our scheduled agenda for tonight. More than happy to open the floor for comments from any individual here who wishes to address the board.
I have one correction real quick. The wrong start date was on William McCabe Jr.'s application. It's actually February 17th, not the 18th.
So he's already started.
Yes.
Okay. Let the record reflect.
I
the
just want to
correct-
make sure it was the right date.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, ma'am.
Hello.
My name is Linda Fallon, 318 Glenary Boulevard. I'm here to, of course, talk about my neighbor. So is 338 Glenary Boulevard classified as commercial or residential property? That's the question. When purchased by Mr. Viviani on July 3rd, 2018, over 6 years ago, the property was and is currently classified as a commercial 417 cottages, non-homestead on the online Ulster County Tax Map ID property data.
Can I ask you to, I'll answer those two questions. If I may.
Okay. No, can I go on?
Well, if they pull together, I thought maybe if I answered them,
will-
you can build off of what I answer.
Okay, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Okay, so in an email to Joanne Simmons on August 15th, Mr. Kovac stated that it was his understanding the property has always been residential, even though it has multiple dwellings on the property. Mr. Quigley quoted the town of Ulster zoning code at the Ulster Town board meeting on October the 5th, which states that the special permit use ceases if the cottages and property are not improved within 2 years. Another compelling argument is the zoning code, section 190-48B also says a non-conforming use such as those cottages may be maintained or repaired. But this does not extend to the degree of non-conformity. They can be altered and enlarged, but they can't then become more non-conform. Okay, we have photos, which I think we've shared with you already, indicating Mr. Viviani has altered and enlarged some of the cottages. At the Town of Ulster Town Board meeting of October 3rd, 2024, our building inspector, who is the authority of interpreting the Town of Ulster Code, said, I quote, Glenary Boulevard is a residential district. Current use of buildings, multiple cottages, is prior to adopting the code of 1991. Since they stopped for more than 2 years, current use is one occupiable building. So there is agreement that the 338 Glenary Boulevard is now residential R30. Doesn't that mean the property can only have one residence or all residential uses listed on the table 190-69 of the zoning code? The table lists no cottages for residential zoning or by special permit. Going forward, since Mr. Viviani wants to keep the property, how can repairing these dilapidated cottages be considered? That would be allowing a non-conforming use in a residential zone, which is prohibited. A new special permit would be difficult since there is nothing allowed that resembles cottages on the zoning table. How can commercial use in residential zone be permitted when Mr. Viviani's negligence has forfeited that option as previously stated by town supervisor and the building inspector? Knowing now that nothing is for sure regarding this issue and somehow 338 Boulevard, Glenary Boulevard will be allowed to continue, there would have to be a special permit of some use and follow all the perimeters of Article 11 special permit. Approval can require seeker, site plan approval, public hearings. It shall not be detrimental for the site, detrimental to the site or adjacent properties such as ours. Buffers, especially the cottage that is the 1 foot from our line. Mr. Tutt said at town board meeting on October 3rd, 2024, that Viviani wanted to renew his permit for repairs. But then Mr. Tutt informed him he needed an engineer or an architect to supply him with prints. He didn't, and that is when Mr. Tutt issued a stop work order. Mr. Viviani probably got the repair only permit in either 2018 or 2019. Joy and I have gone to the building department when Mr. Viviani started laying new footings and foundations for his alterations. We inquired if he had a permit, since it was not displayed or were given no answers. When we questioned Viviani directly, the harassment started. They are covered now, the footings and foundation, and the mystery is to their integrity. We are very tired of making the same complaints for the last 5 years and do not trust that the town has our best interest at heart with their decisions. This has been a virtual unhealthy dealing with the harassment from Viviani, and we fear that the dump next door will significantly affect the value of our home as an investment. You have seen the quality of his work and his properties in the area, so how can you trust him to do as he is directed and take pride in his work? Nobody wants this to continue for another 6 years. Thank you.
So in 1991, the town of Ulster implemented zoning. There were uses around town that did not fit cleanly within the zoning descriptions for the locales in which they were
Right,
located. They were in
Get that.
effect grandfathered,
yes.
okay? The parcel at 338 Glen Eyrie Boulevard is zoned R60,
No.
residential.
No,
R30?
yes.
Okay, R30,
It doesn't have-
residential
it doesn't have
nonetheless.
Square footage.
Yes.
It has more choices if it was 60, but it doesn't quite meet that.
So at the end of the day, Mr. Viviani acquired the property from the cottage company that owned it,
Clemens,
Clements, which had already been closed for a number of years and non-operating.
no, not really.
But in any
That-
case,
They kind of got slammed with the place being given up for auction, yes.
in any case, we can safely say the use as a non-conforming use
Yes,
under the grandfather clause within our zoning ceased to be active for more than 2
2
years. Okay.
yes. So,
I-
that-
So therefore,
yes, so you're saying it is
I'm
now.
saying that he cannot use it as a commercial property
Thank you.
without following the town code and coming back and asking for a zoning variance and coming back to the planning board for approvals. And given the issues that present themselves at that location, it is highly doubtful that they will be delivered.
Why wouldn't, I'm sorry, why wouldn't he then be applying for another special permit, which that gives a lot more regulation to his,
I'm saying he could, but I'm saying it's doubtful that it would be granted. Okay?
I know he could, but why don't you just make him apply if he wants to continue with this property to acquire a special permit that goes with all the regulation that goes with it? That is,
So
so your goal is to get him out?
my goal, based upon the judicial decree here, which you've been provided a copy from,
Yeah, just clean up.
no, it doesn't.
Guess that's not the one I have.
Page 2 of 3, last paragraph. Ordered that should the defendant, Catella Viviani, fail to comply with the provisions of this order within 10 days, which has already happened because it's well past 10 days, after the entry and service of a copy of this order upon the defendant by regular mail at the last known address, the plaintiff, the town of Ulster, shall be and hereby is authorized to enter upon the property of the defendants, to remove the furnishings, garbage, trash, and refuge therefrom, and lawfully dispose of same, and make safe and secure the buildings, including demolition of the buildings. It's in the court order,
Why would you
if
secure them to
necessary.
demo them?
Excuse me?
Why would you secure the buildings to demo them?
No, this is an option, A, B, or C.
Oh, okay.
C being, gives us the option, including the demolition of the buildings, if necessary, on the premises, at the cost and expense of the defendant, which said cost and expense shall be added and assessed against the lands on which the buildings are located.
So who makes the choice of A, B, D, or C?
First of all, there is a process by which the building inspector has determined that the buildings are not salvageable or redeemable based upon their condition.
Yes.
And that would then come down the hierarchy to lead us to the conclusion that demolition of the buildings are the most appropriate course of action. That being said, at a previous meeting, which I don't believe you were here, I disclosed that I've had discussions with a contractor who informed us that it would cost the town between $250,000 and $300,000 to demolish and clean up the site.
Yeah, I got that. I think through the paper. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
That is a decision that these three members can't make on their own. I want the full board here to have a discussion about this. And we did get an email from one of our town board members tonight advocating for demolition.
Yes, demolition would be great. Mr. Viviani doesn't really have the reputation to do what's best, be forthcoming, truthful. You have to also remember that all the foundations and footings of the buildings that are facing the Esopus right there have all been done probably without the building inspector.
At this
Okay.
point in time, I'd like to deal with the facts that are set forth in the judicial order that gives the town certain rights to conduct certain actions. And I want to make sure that in conducting those actions, taxpayers of the town of Ulster are protected so that we don't end up writing the check for $300,000 and assessing it to all the taxpayers in the town.
If he had no choice in the matter, and you said that everything would have to be demoed, why doesn't he just put it up for sale?
It is up for sale.
And then whatever he gets paid for it, he deducts the price of what it costs to demo them. Because whoever would want to buy it and then has to follow a residential zone can't put up a bunch of cottages. That's not going to go to them.
No, at the end of the day, the ultimate use of this project is for a redevelopment of a single-family house in accordance with the R30 zoning.
Right. And that's what we would love to see.
That's correct. Now, the issue is Mr. Viviani,
I know, Mr. Viviani.
hired attorney. Mr. Kovacs, could you report on the court conference that you had earlier this week, or was it last week? Okay.
Supervisor, we had a conference with Judge and on February 11th, Mr. Viviani hired an attorney who appeared in the conference. His attorney said that Mr. Viviani wants to work with the town and he'll have a proposal, which he'll give us promptly. Judge Schreiman said, you know, the case is closed. There's no motion pending before me. We have a court order. I said to his attorney, if he has a proposal, we'd certainly review it with the town board. But I received no proposal at all.
So in effect, the judge told him he was out of options because there's a judicial decree.
In so many ways, he could always file a motion to vacate the order. My feeling was that was not going to happen. And that's where we are. I mean,
Okay.
we have our court order in front of you and it's up to the town board how to proceed.
Okay. Every year, the town receives a list of properties that are delinquent in their real estate taxes that Ulster County is considering foreclosing on. Mr. Tutt, in the current package that you have, is 338 Glenary Boulevard listed as a delinquent taxpayer subject to foreclosure by the county? Okay. So there's an issue of sequencing here, and there's an issue of protecting the overall town financial resources. About 10 years ago, we had a similar circumstance down in East Kingston where the owner of the property failed to tear the church down that had been consumed by fire. Mr. Kovacs was successful in obtaining a judicial order very similar to the one here. We exercised our rights under that judicial order, had the church torn down, and added the $55,000 to the tax bill, which the county paid us. So we recovered the monies that we expended to clean up the site, and the town taxpayers were not impacted. I've had discussions with the county Department of Finance and advised them of the circumstances here, because if they take title to that property, we could very well order them to tear it down. So we are in the process of working out the details, and I would really like to see if we can get the price down. Are there any other questions that may have come to your mind with that explanation?
talked about this, but I want this on the record. That's why I'm here. My name is Joy Ann Simmons, 318 Glenary Boulevard. Good evening. We have been coming here, I've gotten all this from the minutes. We have been coming here since October 21st of 2021. December of 21st, notice of violation issued to the property owner. On May 19th, 2022, supervisor said he would discuss with the building inspector a similar process used on other properties that are not corrected in a timely manner, which you just mentioned. July 21st, 2022, building inspector drafted an order to remedy reflecting every town and state code. Started groundwork for action in the Supreme Court. Resolution to schedule a public meeting. August 4th of 2022, issued another violation, scheduled a public hearing. August 18th, had a public hearing, commenced a civil action in court. November 3rd, 2022, asked for an update. August 17th, 2023, complained about tall grass on the property. October 5th, 2023, no one is doing anything, was hoping for some kind of action. May 16th of 2024, commence another civil action. September 19th, 2024, burning building materials. We don't think we are alone in not trusting Mr. Viviani to follow the building code without supervision. October 3rd, 2024, discussion on 338 Glenary Boulevard, questions and answers, which you guys answered for us. November 7th, 2024, any updates? I asked. Received a court order and it was served. So that's when the court order went through on November 6th. November 19th, clarification of zoning codes 190-48 and 190-99 in an R30 zone. December 19th of 2024, resolution for building department to issue an RFP. He didn't mention anything about an RFP on his yearly report today. So nothing was mentioned about 338. We were supposed to.
No, I obtained the quotes from the contractor.
Okay. We were supposed to commence a civil action in 2022 and it wasn't done until 2024. And I just put, why are you guys scared of this little man? But, and it says, I feel you are just waiting for us to give up. I'm Calabrese, which means thick-headed and stubborn. So don't hold your breath. I will not give up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other individuals here tonight who wish to
I
share?
don't know if you want the.
Laura?
Laura Hartman, 44 Catskill Avenue. Good evening. I just have a question since Mr. Tutt brought up iPark 87. We haven't heard a lot about what's going on over there. And I know with the loss of Joe Cotter, we've kind of let it go because they needed time. We're assuming that they needed time to regroup. Where are we with the housing that is planned for over there?
We're waiting for their plans.
So they've never presented.
They have
anything,
not
right?
presented their building. Mr. Todd, am I correct? Do you have a building permit application?
Good. And are those housing units supposed to be affordable? What classification would they?
Workforce.
Workforce. That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Any additional comments from anyone here tonight? Going once, going twice? In honor of Mr. Secreto's last meeting, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him personally, and I acknowledged his efforts as a town board member over the last several years at the last meeting, but he was babysitting at that night?
Not babysit.
Granddaughter sitting, okay. But I just wanted to say in front of Rocky, who I've known since grade school, thank you very much. I appreciate your efforts. And I would appreciate it if you would come back and throw the first switch for the new lighting at this Orlando Street softball field in the spring when we're ready. Good. Mr. Kovacs.
Mr. Roger, I'd like to put on my kind hat, and it's my honor on behalf of myself, Legislator Kitchen, and Legislator Donaldson to present Councilman Secreto with a Pride of Ulster County Award. I will read it. Thank you for 16 years of dedicated public service, outstanding commitment, and tradition of excellence you have given to Town of Ulster and Ulster County. Signed by Peter Griswold, Chairman of the Ulster County Legislature. Councilman.
Joe Donaldson. So if you want to say a few words, go ahead.
Programs going on, they're wonderful too, and everybody in that office, nothing will get done. I want to thank the person. I must have did something right, for a Democrat to sit on the board for 16 years, you know, and the Republican town, so, I want to say thank you to everybody, and when you see Bill Donaldson, thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Secreto, I'll give you the honor of making the last move.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out tonight. Our next meeting is the first Thursday in March. I believe it to be March 6th.